This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So thanks everyone for joining, and special thanks to Nicole and Lucinda for agreeing to present this information. And I turned it over to Lucinda as a presenter, so everyone should be able to see the slides that she has up. You also have some control on your end to make the slides bigger or smaller so that you can see it clearly. With this plus or this minus sign, you can zoom in or out. And I will stop talking and turn it over to Lucinda and Nicole.
Hey, great. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. And we're really grateful that we get the chance to talk to your network about food insecurity in our region right now and how you can direct clients to resources. So this is who we are. Nicole, go ahead and introduce yourself.
You have to come off mute, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you. I will mute myself a lot. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I'm hiding in my bedroom. My dad's home today, so he's downstairs with them. So I'm crossing my fingers they won't run in and interrupt us. But I'm with the St. Louis Area Foodbank. My primary job there is I'm responsible for all of our programs and partnerships. So the team that builds new partnerships in the community and works with our agencies and our food pantries, soup kitchens, all those spots in the community who distribute our food. So my job's making sure it all gets out to the right places in the right ways.
And I'm Lucinda Perry. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives at Operation Foodsearch, and my role is that I oversee all of our programs and provide the organizational strategy for Operation Foodsearch. And I've been at Operation Foodsearch for almost 7 years now, so have a pretty deep understanding of the food insecurity issues in our region. So I think the first thing that Nicole and I wanted to talk about was just what a wealth of resource our websites are. So I'm going to see if I can click on this and see if it will take me to the website or if I have to stop sharing and bring that on. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Nicole, if you want to navigate me through this a little bit.
Yeah, so, oh, so sorry. Let me turn that off. See, something always has to interrupt, right?
Okay.
So, if you go right up to the very top, I think the most important thing for everyone to see is this little find food button up at the top. That button actually can help people locate where they can find local food pantries and events. And I have a slide later that will also show us a little bit about that, but it's very simple. You put in your zip code, address, town, whatever you'd like to put in, and it'll tell you any of the locations that are close to you that the food bank services and provides food to. We also provide household goods, hygiene products, things like that, as we are available to get them. So you'll see all of those different. It tells you like even the mileage away from where you're at. Also on the right side, there's some information about how to contact our SNAP team if you'd like to get help with the SNAP application. And then of course, United Way 211, who I'm sure you're all very familiar with, who is also available for all types of support. And then Lucinda, if you want to go back one page to the COVID-19 page. Thank you. And then just scroll down. At the bottom of that, there's two things that are really important that both get help and give help. So if you need help, there's a little tab right there. If you scroll down just a little bit further, there you go. And it talks about the Find Food Map. There's an events calendar. That calendar is our new partners who are allowing us to put those on the website. That's by date. If you had someone call today and say that they needed assistance today and they wanted to go to an event, that's where they would find those. Then information on SNAP. And then if you're just not sure about something, you can also make sure that you can, yes, that's the event page. Awesome. Thank you. So those are by date, again, not by location, so that you would know today where you could go to get food.
And these are examples of what the drive-through looks like with the tents and the food set up and just having it be a drive-through, correct, Nicole?
Yes, that is right. So We'll talk a little bit more on some future slides about how that works, but this is a very good visual of how um, our organizations are food banks, so we don't operate in small quantities. We operate in very big quantities on most instances. So for us, we operate by the pallet. These pallets would get set up on a lot, and people could drive through, and we would load that right directly into their vehicle. Right now, we're even more cognizant of that with social distancing. So lots of times, I'm sure Lucinda, you guys are doing the same. We have people tell us how many people in their family or how many families are in their vehicle with their fingers, and we'll hold that up, and then we'll know how much food to put in their cars based on that information. And then just the SNAP piece, as you can imagine, we've seen a lot of folks with an increase in need for SNAP, especially those who have been furloughed. We have seen a huge uptick in the number of SNAP applications. We're up 70% from this time last year of people who need help with filling out SNAP applications. If you've never done that before, it is a very difficult and cumbersome process. So we have some staff who it's their entire job to just help people with SNAP applications all day long. And then the last just note down there at the bottom is an email or a phone number that if somebody can't figure out how to get the map to work, they need help with something, they have a question, Mary Cooper is our admin extraordinaire, and she is more than happy to help with anything that would come up as well. So that's just a brief overview of the website, and we can dig in more.
Oops. Sorry, technical difficulty here for a minute. Okay, so I am going to just show you, if I can, a brief, oops, this didn't hyperlink like yours did, Nicole.
Oh no.
That's okay. We'll figure this out.
Type it in there. There you go.
So on our Operation Foodsearch website page, you can click on the Emergency Response 2020. And here is where you see the different sources similar to the food bank. We've put it in really easy ways for people to understand how to get help, give help, or donate. And when you do the get help, this takes you to a menu of different resources that we have. One is the child meals. So at Operation Foodsearch, we have a specific mission to end childhood hunger and family food insecurity. So we are the organization that provides a lot of the out of school meals. So we have Operation Backpack that assists students during the school year. We also have after school meal programs and also our summer programs. So with COVID-19 and some of the waivers that we've been able to get from the state, we have just gone right into our summer meals program. And typically we serve about 90,000 meals a summer through that in just 10 weeks. So far, we have just in the last 4 weeks served almost 60,000 meals. So you can see what the need is in some of the locations. Specifically, we've been keeping this map in a collaboration with school districts around the region. So many of you have probably heard that schools are providing, continuing to provide breakfast and lunch to students. And so we are the master keeper of that map that shows, again, if you put in your website, it will show exactly what school districts are open. Most of the school districts, it doesn't matter if your child is goes to that particular school, most of them are open sites. So this map is a handy way to just really tap in and see exactly when they're serving. This map is also updated daily. So we have try to keep the most consistent and up-to-date information on it. The other piece is food pantries. We have a way to call our hunger hotline. which is 726-533 extension 1. And then we can also text for location. So if you text your zip code to the 785-503-3310 number, then it will give you the closest food pantries in your area. And then like St. Louis Area Food Bank, we also have the Find Food map. And again, that will be available for people to just type in their information, and it has a lot of the detail that people need to understand how to get there and what the hours are. So that's an overview of our website. And again, just for people to be able to take this presentation and refer back to the information, Nicole and I put a snapshot of where our landing sites are to find the information that we just went through. And then Nicole, do you want to start with your programs and services and how, if people want to become partners with you, how they might go about doing that, or what services you offer?
Yeah, so this slide just kind of gives a little bit of an overview of what we're currently doing in the community. So the food bank covers 26 counties in Missouri and Illinois, many of which are probably areas that you cover as well. We currently have about 500 plus partners in those 26 counties. So that's a lot of folks who are out doing great, wonderful food service every single day. That again is from anything from a food pantry to a school market to a soup kitchen to a homeless shelter, anything that you can imagine where we might provide food that they would then use to give out to the community. Again, the Find a Pantry or Find Food section of our website, I have a little picture over here to remind you that that's the best place to find all of those 500 sites that are ongoing. We also have a program called Fresh Mobile Markets. These are what we showed you on the event page. Mobile markets are, for us, a partnership with different community members. This could be anything from a food pantry that decides that during typical times, those food pantries, we all encourage them to provide as much dignity and respect to their clients as possible, and to do what we call a choice model, where people can actually go in and they shop just like they were in a grocery store and choose what items they want. As we all know today, life is a little different and we're finding our new normals. So we're encouraging people to change those models to more of a drive-through method to continue and encourage social distancing. So those mobile markets are a huge asset. So the picture that you saw earlier, again, we do anything from 4 to 10 pallets of food that mostly is fresh food. So think produce, vegetables, fruit, milk, lots of dairy, and a lot of frozen items as well, including frozen proteins like chicken, meat. Let's see, lots of times we get even vegetarian protein. So those are all the products right now. I will be very, very honest with you and tell you that that is the most product that you will probably find in our food bank is the fresh produce. As you've probably seen on the nightly news, there's a lot of need for that product to go somewhere, right? You've seen, I'm sure, pictures of people throwing product away on the news. We're doing the best that we can to take as much of that product as people will offer us. If you offer us product, it's going to come right on in and we're going to find a place for it to go for a home. So that's what we have most of. What we don't have a lot of, I will be very honest as well, is shelf stable product. So things that are canned that can make a meal. We have lots of canned vegetables. We don't always have a lot of canned things like tuna, chicken, spaghetti. Those things, because of the huge influx of need right now, those things are very hard to come by. And it could be, we've placed a lot of orders lately for that, and we're seeing a 4 to 8 week delivery time on truckloads of that product. So what you'll get on these fresh mobile markets is a lot of fresh produce, which is all really great, good food that people love as well. Those items, all of these services that I'm talking about are all free of charge. So someone can find one of those events on the event page. They can show up in their car. They can feel very comfortable driving through, getting that product put in their trunk or their back seat, and then getting that distributed out to their families. Typically, one of these mobile markets serves about 150 to 200 families, and we are doing those every single day. Right now, we have already onboarded about 44 new partners in the last 6 weeks to help us grow this initiative. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a slide, in a couple slides. The other thing I mentioned, food stamps. So our food stamp assistance program, we typically do, 10 food stamp applications 2 months ago, a week, something like that. We're seeing that increase by 70%. There is a huge need in this area, as you know, I'm sure. We know that a lot of people who have been furloughed are trying to apply for unemployment, and that assistance is moving very slowly. That is the same for SNAP, and I will say that in both Illinois and Missouri, that is changing on the daily basis on what the rules are and who can apply and how much they get. So we have a SNAP educator, and her entire job is to keep a handle on all of that and to make sure that people are getting the best, fairest shot they can possibly get to get their applications in. So if you have someone who needs to apply, you're more than welcome to reach out to us, and they will literally walk them through the application and get it processed for them, and then tell them what the next steps are to get them through that. And then the other thing that we are doing was we have a government program called the CSFP program. This is a senior box program for those who may need it. We have a lot of folks who are typically already signed up for this program. What we're doing just to be proactive is the government is allowing us to instead of giving people 1 month of supply of these boxes, giving them 2 months of a supply so that seniors will not have to get out as often. So that's a quick overview of what we're doing. There's a lot more that I'm sure if you have questions, I can dig into a little bit more, but that's a good overview.
Thanks, Nicole. Wow, you guys have really boosted your food fair significantly, doing them every day. That's amazing. So from Operation Foodsearch's end, we have, again, a real emphasis on child hunger. So we are continuing to do what we call Operation Backpack with several schools around the area. We're providing around 3,000 bags of food to kids and their families through that way. But then we're also doing a lot of partners that are hosting drive-throughs, as similar to what Nicole had mentioned. Our main partner in this effort is the St. Louis County Library branch. They have 9 branches that they have opened. They're available and open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They've also partnered with the St. Louis Area Diaper Bank. So on Fridays, they give out diapers. For us, we provide shelf-stable meals for kids and also supplementary food for the family that is shelf-stable. We're looking at increasing that with some fresh as we go along too, but right now it's more of like grab-and-go meals. And also this service runs, again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's open. You don't need vouchers or anything. It's just sort of first come, first serve until the meals are out. We're also providing a lot of fresh food to other partners like the Urban League, who are also hosting distribution events right in the community. So we take the food to them, and then they use their staff and their volunteers to distribute that food to families that come through. This was a resource flyer that we put together that anyone can share. It's actually on our website that I had pointed out. But this is just sort of a quick tip sheet that you can give to your clients who might be looking for food and outreach. It has how to find a food pantry, our child meal locator, about SNAP and food stamps. And again, really encourage you to take advantage of the expertise that both Operation Foodsearch and the St. Louis Area Foodbank have in this area of making sure that families know about this service. It is, the most sustainable way for families to continue to reduce household food insecurity during COVID-19. We have WIC, we have about the stimulus checks, and basically just anything that can help families who might be looking for food. How do we connect them to those resources?
So I will say, I just wanted to add, Lucinda and Operation Foodsearch are doing a great job reaching out to kids, and those sites, especially all of that, the Kid Finder map is wonderful for all of those great places that people can go to get lunch and services. The Find Food on the Foodbank is a great place for people to go to. But what we want to talk about a little bit is and recognize with you is the fact that not all people feel comfortable going to a pantry or going to a place that might be different for them, might not be something that they have had to plug into before. So, the food bank is willing to work with you. One of the examples that we talked about with Serena was the food bank has worked with some of our partner sites to do mobile markets on your facility, at your facility, or on a site that's easy for you. So an example of that would be in Jefferson County, we've worked with Comtree, and they are holding mobile markets once a week and inviting their clients to attend those. They do a drive-through model. They use their staff and volunteers to provide that. They invite their clients because it's a comfortable place for them to go. It reduces the stigma and the maybe the uncomfortableness of the process a little bit for them. And then they also open that up to the community. They are actually have had such a great.
Nicole, your microphone just went out.
Am I back on? There you
You're
go.
back on.
Great. They actually have had such a great result that they're doing 10 pallets of food every week and are running out of food. So they have done a wonderful, wonderful job supporting that and are doing more. Again, it's a distribution model that's drive-through, so it is fairly easy for you if you choose to work with the food bank in this way. We typically recommend that you have 10 to 15 volunteers or staff to help you. There is sometimes that you do have to bag some of that fresh produce beforehand. We can provide those bags and or boxes for you if that's what you would like to do. The one thing that we ask from you is that you commit to ongoing distributions. So it takes a little bit of work to onboard somebody whenever they want to become a new partner with the food bank. There's a contract to complete, which just talks mostly about food service and safety, so that you're keeping the food safe. But we want to make sure that if you want to commit to being a partner of the food bank, that you're willing to do that for at least an ongoing basis. Some people that's once a month, some people it's once a week. It depends on what works for you. So that is an option that we can provide. I also just wanted to briefly say that right now until May 19th, the National Guard is available to support people. So if this is something you would want to do for a few weeks and use the National Guard to support with volunteers until you can build a volunteer base and get some folks in to keep it ongoing over the summer, that would be something that would also be an option for you. And you could work through me to get those folks available to you. And then the last thing is the SNAP assistance. Again, I think that it can be very difficult for people when they have to try and go into a SNAP office or call the state to try and work through an application. Our staff are willing to do this and to walk them right through and tell them exactly how and what to put in each box and what they need to do to prepare for their interview to make sure that they get the most assistance that they can possibly get.
Great. So with Operation Foodsearch, we want you to share the information with your clients to help publicize the locations where children can get meals. So again, that just accessing that map is a really great tool to give to people. Publicize the hunger hotline because that will also take you to our pantry network. Our pantries are holding really steady right now. They are definitely seeing an increase of clients, but you know, it's sort of ebbs and flows. So please, you know, continue to refer people to that system. Both the Area Food Bank and Operation Foodsearch is, you know, really working hard to load them up with food that would otherwise be wasted. And we're entering into the summer season, so there's going to be a lot of produce, and you know, this is really great food for people to be able to add to the family table. Refer people to our websites. And unfortunately, right now, there's a waiting list for us in terms of new community partners to bring on with being any kind of added to our food network. We will be looking, hopefully when the summer months approach, to expand our partnerships with serving child meals. And so if you're in a position where you're able to do drive-through service, providing meals to kids where they would normally gather, I know that it is really up in the air about whether or not pools will open or summer camps will be taking place or even summer school. So we'll continue to provide resources with partners to make sure that kids are continuing to get the kind of nutrition they need over the summer. And then Nicole touched on this briefly, but we wanted to draw attention to the fact that some of the people that you might be serving are utilizing the food safety net for the first time. And unfortunately, there is a lot of stigma around this, but we feel like now is the time to really help educate people about the food safety network, and that it's here exactly for this reason, is that sometimes people will only use it for a month because they've experienced some kind of interruption in their household, whether it's that they're sick or they've been laid off from work, or perhaps they've gotten a divorce, or perhaps more family members have moved in. There are a lot of reasons why people need a little extra help with purchasing food, and there is absolutely no reason to be ashamed of that. Hunger and food insecurity is linked to adverse childhood experiences, and we know that food insecurity is traumatic. So when you're working with clients, to be mindful that using the trauma-informed language is really helpful, and to let them know that they are not the only family who's experiencing this. There are a lot of people who are going through this episodic event in their life. And so just be careful with language. One thing that we always use with our child meal programs is that we never call them feeding programs. They're child meal locations. And that, we don't say needy people. We say, people who live in high need communities. Things like that. Some of the same things that you might think about when you're talking about mental health, to just be mindful around those situations. Nicole, did you want to add anything else about that?
No, I just would say that if you decide that you want to refer folks to these sites, that you encourage them to be patient. The system right now, it is a little taxed. I would not say we're running out of food. There's plenty of food to go around, but it will be a little bit of a longer line than if they'd gone 3 months ago. It may be a little bit of a different model where you're getting a box of food, which may not be what you've chosen, but may just be items that are in there. So just to be a little flexible because of the current crisis that we're in, that things are a little different than normal, and we hope that in the next couple months we'll be able to get back to some sort of normalcy. But we don't know how long this will take, so just ask people that to be a little patient as they go in, and that we will do the same on our end. And if you hear otherwise, please let us know. Let us know. I think now we'll open it up for some questions, and we'll be happy to answer anything that you have.
All right, so I am going to unmute everyone and we will see if we get inundated with noise, but that's the only way that I can make sure that if you have a question, you're able to ask it. All right, so everyone's line should be open. Does anyone have questions for Nicole or Lucinda?
Hi, my name is Cheryl Trask, and I work with Cardinal Ritter Senior Services, and I have a question for Nicole. I'm wondering, you talked about your 2-month supply and a single delivery to seniors, and is that for seniors that drive through these event places, or are you delivering that 2-month supply to seniors?
Those boxes are part of our CSFP program. So any current partner who is part of that program is able to get 2 months supply, and then the pantry decides how they will deliver that. So right now the food bank is not operating a delivery program directly to people's homes. As you can imagine, there's a lot of barriers in that. But those pantries, if you have someone who, what I would encourage you to do, if you have someone who cannot leave their home, is homebound for some reason, or immune compromised, doesn't feel comfortable getting out, that I would encourage you to call 211 because there are some delivery services out there, or to call the pantry that's closest to them. Lots of the pantries who know of people who have that need do have services available that people can go out and they'll deliver product to them.
Okay, well, yeah, we've partnered with the Salvation Army, and they've been helping get boxes of food, to our seniors, and that happened last week, and the seniors were very, very grateful. But of course, it is canned goods and non-perishable items. I mean, it's so nice to hear you talk about all the fresh produce you're getting. Would there be any way we could get some fresh produce for our clients?
Yeah, so there's two options that you have. You can choose to host a mobile market like we talked about. I realize that's a little bit of work. Or you could go to our events page, and what lots of people do is we call it just be a proxy, and you just drive through an event and say, I need to pick up food for 4 people, 4 families, or whatever that is, and then you can divide that up and deliver it yourselves to whoever
okay.
you need
So my social work staff could actually drive through one of these event things and get the fresh produce for them and then divide it up and take to the clients we need.
Yes, absolutely. There is no need to register for those events or anything, so anyone can go.
Yeah. So people just driving by can go to those too? I mean, they're just open to anyone?
Yes, they are. We believe if someone says that they're food insecure, that we believe them. We don't make them prove that they are food insecure, especially right now. Anyone who's willing to sit in line and do that, we're going to trust and believe in them.
Okay. So then again, we could just like drive through as social workers and say we're picking up for 4 seniors and get the food in our trunks and go on.
Yep. You absolutely could. Definitely.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Ariel Burgess with the International Institute. I have 2 questions. Many of our clients do not have transportation of their own. They use public transportation. So my first question is, I'm wondering if you would allow people to walk up, practicing social distancing to the distribution sites. And then the second question is, if we as an agency agree to be a mobile fresh market, how long of a distribution period commitment would you prefer?
Those are great questions. So yes, we do allow walk-ups. So what I would encourage you to do is if you found a pantry site that was closed, call them and make sure that they allow that. Each pantry has its own different rules. So I would say call that number on the website, just make sure that they're aware and that they have the right times for when they're open. I'd hate for somebody to walk somewhere or take public transportation and then hours have changed. For the distribution, we're asking people to commit to a minimum of 3 distributions. That could be 3 weeks in a row. It could be over the next 3 months, whatever you choose. We're calling new partners right now temporary disaster partners, so that you may choose at the end of this disaster that, you know what, this disaster is going a lot longer than we thought, and we want to become an ongoing partner with the food bank, and that would be okay. And we would just transfer you from a temporary partner to a permanent one. But we're asking for at least 3 to go for at least for the next couple months.
Do we have to store any of the unused food, or do you take that back with you?
That's another really good question. No, we do not take it back with us, but typically I will tell you, especially now, there's never really any product left. So typically it's all gone. What we will do is our mobile coordinator, Maya, she's a manager. She's got a title change. Our mobile programs manager, Maya, can give you a list of local pantries that if you were to have something left, you could call them and they could come and pick it up for you.
Thank you.
But right now, that doesn't happen a lot. There's not a lot of left.
Hey, this is Abdul Nicole from Park Central Development.
Yes,
Can you hear me okay? Okay, thank you.
I can.
Uh, we currently have a couple programs where we're actually working directly with a couple of markets. One is Fields Foods, the other is City Greens. Is there an opportunity as far as is there a particular staff person that we could work with to maybe just expand on what we're doing? So for instance, with City Greens Market, if they're already a partner or not a partner, to be able to work with them to maybe get a extra pallet of food or a couple pallets of food to serve a couple hundred extra families that may be already within our distribution network with what we're doing.
I would say if you wanted to work, are you a current partner of the food bank?
We are not, but City Greens Market may be. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I would say for those two specific partners that you work with to reach out directly to them, and they may be able to give you additional produce or help. If they can't, then we would be more than happy to chat with you about creating a system where we could do even like one of the smaller mobiles that's just like 4 pallets, and see if there's a way that that would be something that we can help you with.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, this is Mackenzie Alberti with Big Brothers Big Sisters. This is for both you, Nicole and Lucinda. Do you guys know of any partners who are supporting families with severe food allergies? We have a little, and their kiddos are, both kiddos in the families are severely allergic to a lot of different things, and I have not been able to find partners who are accommodating that.
Nicole,
I
before you
don't know of any.
respond,
Good
before you
question.
respond, I'm going to ask everyone to mute your phone unless you're asking a question. Because I'm getting a lot of background noise. Okay, thanks, Nicole.
I don't know of any places like that. In a normal situation, I would say you could go in and they'll be able to choose at a pantry what they get. Right now, we're not in normal. I don't know, Lucinda, if you know of any particular places.
Yeah, unfortunately, the client choice has just really been diminished. And so when you pull up through the drive-throughs, even when you go to the pantries, that you're given a box. I would recommend that you call some of the pantries that might be in that area and see if some of the volunteers might be able to make up a box consisting of those products that the family needs, and be able to make a special case in that way. And I know that if they can, they will. But it doesn't hurt to ask, to just say, is it possible to make one box that doesn't have
Right. I agree with that. I think that if they can, they will definitely try to accommodate. The other thing you could try is contacting 211 and see if there are any programs that they know of that are available specific for whatever allergies they have that might be doing some type of assistance.
This almost sounds like an opportunity for somebody to specialize. If there is a partner out there who knows that this is a population that they might encounter more frequently than not, and they want to step up and specialize in this way, that might be a good partnership opportunity. So thanks for asking that question.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? And you have to unmute yourself if you're on mute.
This is Regina Kavanaugh with Horizon Housing Development Company, and we're here specifically assisting in the city of St. Louis. And I was wondering if, Lucinda, if you knew of, I know you had all the master list of the county schools that help with food giveaways. Is there somewhere we can look for the city schools that are helping with food giveaways?
Yeah, so the city should be on that map, but if it's not, then go to the St. Louis Public School website, and they have a tab for feeding kids, and they have a map with all of their locations.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I think that the city has reduced what number of days they're open. However, given the new state waivers, they're allowed to give, if a family comes, I think they're open on Thursdays now. If a family comes, then they're able to take away 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches for each child that is in the household. So even though there are fewer days that it's open, it's more food that's being distributed at that time.
Thank
They're
you so
actually
much.
they're open Friday mornings,
Friday
and they're
mornings
providing
now?
yeah, just Friday mornings at all the sites, and they're providing food for adults too. So they have both.
And I believe on the weekends, I think Salvation Army has been providing boxes for them as well. And I know that we worked with a partner and worked with SLPS to beef up some of our food pantry distributions to make sure those pantries had additional food because of that only doing on Fridays now. So I think that there's a lot of resources in the city. You can just plug into them.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Rose Anderson Rice with Generate Health. And I had a question for Nicole. Just wanted to find out if there is a wait time or how long of a process for organizations that want to partner with you. We have some funding that we're putting out in community. We have a lot of community groups who are reaching out and they're telling us they're going to be providing food. And I'm not sure if they're currently partners with you, but we'd love to get them connected so that they're not trying to go into the grocery stores themselves and buy food. So just trying to find out the process in terms of the length of time, because many of them are hoping to get up and running pretty quickly.
Yeah, it usually is about a week lead time. We ask all of our partners, as I referenced earlier, to sign a program agreement with us. We want to make sure that everyone is doing everything safely with the food. That's, our biggest fear, someone getting sick, right? We don't want to exasperate the disaster. So that would be probably what I would say, about a week of lead time. I will tell you that our coordinator who's doing this work, the first thing she's going to do if someone calls her is look and see what other resources are already in that community. So she's going to go directly to find food and she's going to put in that zip code and say, okay, there are already 7 food pantries in this community. Why do we need to add another one? Right? And she's going to have that conversation with you. If it's because this is for our clients and our clients are going to come, that makes a whole lot of sense. If it's because I just want to do something good, she may steer that person more towards, let's go work directly with a pantry and you can get food and deliver it to the pantry directly, or you can send your volunteer hours at the pantry that's already there, so that we're making sure that we're not overcrowding a community and letting food go to waste.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to add to that, Nicole, both the Food Bank and Operation Foodsearch is, working in collaboration with a lot of the other organizations that have been mentioned, like Salvation Army, as part of the regional response for 5 counties. And Nicole, do you want to just talk a little bit about how that food cluster team works so that we're ensuring that the peanut butter is really being spread throughout the bread, so to speak?
Yeah, I would say that I personally sit on about 6 or 7 phone calls every single week with different groups for every single county that we're involved in almost, to talk about what food needs there are and where those are at. So Friday afternoons, I sit on a Jefferson County call and I learn all about what's going on in Jefferson County. And anyone who says, I have a need, we talk it out right there and we figure out if it really is a need or if it's just a reported need, and we with an already available resource. We have developed this 5-county regional response team just for the metro area that's also meeting once a week to discuss needs on a very high level. Schools are one of those children-focused needs, because we had some schools, you might remember, for a little while who were not providing food to children because of some tragedies that they suffered. So we are really coordinating the best that we can to make sure that one community doesn't have a whole bunch of food while others have very little. One of the things that we want to do, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but one of the things that we're really focused on is making sure that people aren't traveling 5 miles if they can walk across the street, right? We're trying to get it as close to them as possible, but also not moving too much food to an area where other people need to travel to get there. We want to try and get it to everyone, not just a few.
Yeah, and in Operation Food Search, we're just really making sure that people are connected to the resources, the existing resources that are out there. And as the summer months come upon us and we have to see what the landscape is about being able to order food and that sort of thing, if you are an organization that wants to become one of our partners for summer meal distribution for kids, then that's an avenue that we can explore with us at Operation Food Search.
And Lucinda, I believe that they've loosened those restrictions a little bit, right? So if you tried that before and you may not have qualified, you may qualify now.
That's right. And really all you need is a refrigerator to store any leftover food that can be served for the next day, because it is unitized and some of the sandwiches are fresh and that sort of thing, but there are non-perishable items as well. So yes, it is a definite efficient way to make sure that kids are getting meals. We're also, with the influx of need, providing some additional fresh food with that for the family household as well, with the partners that are our summer meal partners.
So Nicole and Lucinda, when we talked in preparation for this, one of the things that was important to me was figuring out how to communicate that it is normal to use this system, that people shouldn't be embarrassed or ashamed about it. And as I think about the transition that is likely to occur soon, when some people are trying to decide if they're going to go back to work or not, and they're worried about, sustainable income and being able to provide food, that there has to be some messaging around, just because the economy opens back up, it doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be all right and you're not going to need any further assistance. So have either of your organizations given any thought to messaging to just kind of add some normalcy to people seeking out this type of support that you can share with the providers, or any tips on how they can speak with the people that they serve to get them more comfortable with using this existing resource?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've really begun to focus on in Operation Food Search is working with organizations to embed the Hunger Vital sign into intake and assessment services, so that when a client comes in, just like you're asking them about other social determinants of health questions, mental health questions, that one of the questions of two questions is, did you worry about not having enough food in the last 12 months? Or did you not have enough food in the last 12 months? And so by answering yes to either one of those questions, it is an indication that there is food insecurity within the household. Now, what we have done typically with organizations is provide them with some methods in terms of saying, here is a meal kit that you can take home. It does not in any way address the long-term effects of what you're struggling with, but we're going to work with you to make sure that you have the resources that you need, so that food becomes part of the whole process of looking at the whole person, the whole family, and meeting them where they are. So just by opening up the aspect of have you been worrying about food, I think creates the opportunity for a conversation to say, this is not something that is abnormal during this time right now, even if you've never had to take advantage of these services before. Or to tap into these services. They do exist, and they exist exactly for this reason, to help people when they're having some issues. The last thing that we want is for people to have to suffer in silence. And these resources are here. We also train our staff to be trauma informed. So the people in our network are trained to be trauma informed. It's not always perfectly translated, but it's a part of the system that we continue to work on, so that when families do come to, or individuals come to take advantage of these services, that they're not shamed, that there's dignity involved, and that really we have a great group of people in our community who really want to help others. So I would just encourage to have a dialogue about it and, reinforce that this probably will be something that you might have to try for a little bit, and then if economic situation goes back to normal, then you can go back to the grocery store. But this is exactly why the system exists.
Thank you.
And I would just add that what they were going to get at a food pantry probably won't replace everything that they might need from the grocery store. They may still need to go to get some supplemental, but we always encourage people to start with the pantry to get their needs met, and then they can build on that with their actual personal funds. The other thing that we're talking about, in addition to what Lucinda mentioned, is we're kind of still in what I would call a response phase of this emergency and crisis. We don't know at this point how long this response phase is going to last, right? We are hopeful in the next couple weeks with the governor opening things up a little bit in Missouri that will allow some people to get back to work and get paychecks, and will kind of lighten that load a little bit. But we also know that it could create more of a health risk. So there's this strange balancing act right now. We've also heard from health officials that we could see another wave that comes through in the fall, right? So we are talking about how we're helping people respond to the disaster and kind of helping them understand that this isn't something that they did, that this is something that's happening to them, right? So how do we help you? Because that's something happening to you that's causing this issue. And then knowing that we may be in a recovery phase for 12, 18 months or longer as the economy recovers to get through this and we get through the worst part of this disease. So trying to just help people understand that, and plugging into not only the food network, but the entire social service network, whether they need food, they may need help with their utility bills or their rent assistance or their mortgage payment or whatever that is, that these are all things that this network is here all the time, and that I can promise you that every day for weeks we're all talking about this and how do we support and grow, because we know that the need is increasing. And when we talked about those disaster calls earlier, we don't just talk about food, we talk about all of those things that I've just mentioned, plus way more of how we can help people through that process. So we're doing everything that we can to expand services as much as possible so that people who may not have had to plug into them before can do that in the easiest way possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have one other question. Early on, Nicole, you spoke about the food bank also helps with household goods and hygiene products. We're seeing a lot of need for cleaning supplies, Depends. Is there any one specific spot that has a lot of those items that we could pick up from?
There's not. What I would encourage you to do is, again, to call your local pantry. So what we typically do is divide those out among partners whenever they come in so that everybody gets a little bit. And then we kind of make sure that way most people can get them if they need them. I will again tell you, if you're having a hard time finding it on a shelf at the grocery store, we're having a hard time finding it at the food bank as well. We had a grant to get Infamil because we know that that's a big need right now, and it took us 6 weeks to get it. So and we were calling manufacturers directly who were saying, no, you can't have it. So it's really been difficult to find everything from baby products to hygiene items to all cleaning products that we would normally get. So I would call your local pantry and just say, this is a need that a client of mine has. Do you have an ability to fill it? Could I come and get something?
Yeah, and I would just echo that as we're getting them in Operation Foodsearch, we're providing them to our distribution partners, and the food transportation system has really been interrupted. So as Nicole said, everything is just taking longer to order, to get in, to arrive. And so just a measure of patience is really needed as we move through these next few weeks.
Yeah.
This is Nicole Dossi from NCADA. Speaking of personal hygiene products, this is kind of a question more on supply, I guess. Normally, the Girl Scouts will do April showers in April. That obviously did not happen. I know both of your organizations probably benefit from those supplies. Folks at my work are looking for something to do to feel like they can contribute even from far away while they're socially distancing. I'm wondering if there are some specific needs that you all have, maybe around hygiene products, that we could collect some of those and donate them to you, or is that not really needed right now?
Oh, I think that those products are always
Yes.
I thought so, but you never like to assume. You never like to assume.
Yeah. So, what we hear a lot are just diapers, and yes, it's Operation Food Search works with Girl Scouts, and we really missed having that April showers because we usually got about 1 million different items in from that drive, everything from feminine hygiene to deodorant to soap. So those things are really still valuable. Families still need them. So what we see are a lot of creative ways that people are doing it. For us, it's you could hold a virtual food drive model that is just donating cash, and then we can purchase that using our buying power. You can also have porch drops where you have a collection and one person then brings everything to Operation Food Search to us. We have a drop box at our building now, so you can donate canned goods and just the products that you just talked about. So that there are a lot of different ways to be able to help and show that generosity, and it's very needed right now.
Yes, very much. And I would also say that I think I know the postal carriers, letter carriers food drive that happens every year has been canceled, which is a big loss for us. It's our biggest food drive of the year. So we're all struggling in that area. So on both of our websites, there in part of that section where we showed you earlier, there was also that get help and give help. So there's information there on how you can either do a virtual or a real food drive, whether that's for actual shelf-stable product or any type of hygiene, cleaning products, whatever. We'll take all of those and redistribute them out.
We'll find good homes for them.
Yes, we promise.
So thank you, Nicole and Lucinda. We're pretty much at our time. If there are lingering questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. I will leave the meeting room open for another 5 minutes so that anyone can type in a question. And then if we need to, we can send those responses out. Otherwise, everyone is free to go. Thank you again for joining, and I hope that you were able to get the information you need. The webinar will be available on our website, as well as the slides and contact information for both presenters. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Serena.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.